Hey guys, I hope you are well. You get me on a random Saturday today with no makeup, so bear with me. A couple of weeks ago, I put out on my Instagram story page if you guys would be interested in seeing some videos in discussing anxiety, and I got an overwhelming response of yes. So here I am trying to do this very first video. I'm going to try to not make these super long because you guys all have other things and busy lives, and your time is precious, and I value your time and even listening. So um, first, let me just say I'm 42 years old and I have a great life. I'm a wife and a mom. I have 3 amazing kids, and I also work full time out of the home. But with all those things being said, it can cause a lot of things in your life. And about 5 years ago, I was dealing with some symptoms that were kind of worrisome and scary to me. I was having heart palpitations on a regular, and I had had heart palpitations off and on throughout my life, really adult life. I think the first time I remember having them, I think I was in my late teens. And they always kind of scared me, but every time I asked the doctor about it, they just said that that was a normal thing that can happen and that wasn't anything to be concerned about, that my heart was fine. But about 5 years ago, I was getting them like on a daily basis, which was weird. And it caused me to be even more concerned and worried, which then led to me having them more frequently. And then I was getting them in conjunction with like lightheadedness, dizzy spells, sweating, tingling in my arms. I actually ended up having a panic attack. And if any of you have ever had a panic attack, it's like the worst thing ever for me. I mean, you feel like you're having a heart attack. I had tight chest. I couldn't breathe. My left arm was going wonky and weird and numb and painful. I was dizzy. I felt nauseous. It was pretty scary. So much so that I went to the ER. And that was part of figuring out what was going on with me. I went to my regular doctor and went through a gamut of different tests, and I wore heart monitors, I had an echocardiogram, I did a bunch of blood work, and I just went through the whole gamut of things till they finally came to the realization that I'm a relatively healthy person. I just suffer from anxiety. Now, there are different types of anxiety disorders. I have generalized anxiety disorder, but some people can have, panic disorder, OCD, which is obsessive compulsive disorder, and I have a little bit of that as well. You can have PTSD. There's lots of different kinds of things. The influences and where that can come from and how that manifests can depend. Sometimes it can be in your family history. For me, it is. My mom suffers from PTSD. My mom has, she's pretty open about it, so I'm okay with saying that, in her life she's dealt with a lot of sexual trauma and sexual assault, and because of that it has, she's suffered all of her adult life with PTSD. And back at that time, even 30-40 years ago, no one really knew what that was or what it was about or even had a diagnosis for it. So she spent a good chunk of her life not really knowing what was wrong. And so anyways, in telling you that, it could be family history. You could have suffered your own personal trauma that could have led to it. Excessive use of caffeine, not having good eating habits, which I don't. And I'm hooked on really terrible foods and sugar and sweet. And I don't drink coffee, but I mean, caffeine comes in all forms these days. Or tobacco if you're a smoker, which I'm not, but that can be a trigger. Another big thing is stress and your vulnerability to prolonged exposure to stress. If you're allowing yourself to have stress, excuse me, stress and anxiety are two different things. Stress is something that's more controllable. You can take stress off your plate. You can change your job. You can, take people out of your life that are stressful. You can, change the dynamics of your life to alleviate stresses. Anxiety is different. Anxiety is something that can manifest from very high stressful situations and stressful things in your life that can then turn into anxiety. But anxiety is something that once you're in that state, you can't just turn it off like a light switch. I mean, there are days I struggle really, really badly with it, and then other days it's really fine and it's easy but You know, for me, I'm in a constant state of worry. I worry about everything under the sun. I worry about, you know, being a good wife, being a good mom, being a good worker, being a good daughter, being a good friend, being just good to everyone all the time. I had read somewhere that certain traits that you have as a person, but then what it actually means behind the scenes. Like, I have a really hard time saying no to people, which means that I struggle with boundaries, obviously. Um, you know, I also, it's like I never want people to be upset with me. I never want people to be angry with me. However, I'm also the first to like get really, like, I don't have a lot of patience, so I tend to snap at people kind of quickly. Um, I ask my children who ride in the car with me every day. Like, I have the worst time driving. So anyway, as I ramble here, so for me, the anxiety is just this constant worrisome state where you're constantly thinking about, like, if I'm having a conversation with you and there's something in the background that's going on, whether it's a noise or a tick or another conversation or, you know, a dog passing by or something, there's a part of my brain that is constantly going to be thinking about that and over in that direction, but times that by 20. So I'm never just thinking about the one thing. I have a really hard time concentrating, which has been a struggle for me, especially with my work, to constantly just to stay focused on one thing, because you know, typically in a work environment, you have to be mindful of more than one thing at a time. It's just a part of it, part of a job typically. So for me, that's a struggle because I have to really fixate on the one thing, and really sometimes it's hard for me to just stick to that and focus on that one specific thing, because I know that there's 17 other things going on that I'm also supposed to somewhat keep an eye on. And that's hard with someone with anxiety, because you're constantly thinking about all these things, and then, like, if something drops, it's like you're trying to hold a big barrel of balls, and if a ball drops out, that's it, you're done. Like, life's over. You're thinking, oh my god, I let someone down, oh my god, I messed something up, I made a mistake, you know, you're overly critical of yourself, you're constantly hard on yourself, you know, those are just things that I struggle with every single day, you know. And even with my kids, like, you always, as a parent, worry about your kids and worry if you're making the right decisions and doing the best things for them. But, you know, when you have anxiety, I also am trying to be very mindful to not push that on them. I don't want my children to have anxiety, but do I think my children suffer from it to a certain extent? Yes, unfortunately, I think they do. And that breaks my heart. And it's hard for me to settle with that. But I also know how to help them through it when they have moments, which is good, because then they don't feel alone and they don't feel like nobody, you know, someone doesn't understand them. Anyway, so this is the first video that I want to do. I know I'm kind of all over the place, but I just wanted to explain what it is for me. I know that everyone has different definitions for themselves, and they struggle with different things depending on the type of anxiety or how severe the anxiety is. Some people that have social anxiety, like, they can't even go outside. They can't even go to a store. They can't even, you know, have a conversation, even on the phone, because it just, they get so overwhelmed with, what if I say the wrong thing or do the wrong thing, or if I make the wrong move, or what if somebody takes my bag, or, you know, it's a constant state of worry that you're in all the time. You know, when I lay down at night to go to sleep, or if I'm in the shower, or if I'm using the restroom, like, all I'm thinking about is the 50 things that I have to do instead of just focusing on taking a shower. Like, it's sometimes so maddening, and all you want to do is cry, because you feel like, why can't I control this? Why can't I stop this? And it's just a part of the gig, and it's horrible and it's awful, and all I can try to do is manage it the best way I can. I went to psychiatrists. I was on really ridiculous medication that did not make me feel better. It just made me feel worse. I felt like I was getting into a state of depression on this medication. They had me on 2 and 3 different ones to try to figure it out, and I finally just said, I will not take any more of your medication. I will be my own advocate. I will do my own research. I will figure out what works for me. And what I do still to this day has a stigma, and a lot of people don't think that it's right, but it works for me. So, and I will get into that in another video. So anyway, that's it. That's all I want to say today is that I am a 42-year-old woman who has anxiety. And every day is a new day. Some days are hard, some days are not, but every day is a new day. And every day is a new opportunity for me to be the best me that I can be and to be better than I was the day before. Because that's all I'm really trying to work on is being better than I was the day before. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. And all I can do is keep getting up every day and keep trying because I want to do it for me, because I want to be here, because I want to live my life, and because I have amazing kids and an amazing husband, rock of a husband. I'll do a whole episode on that, and the amazing support system that I have. So I live for that, and I want to be the best that I can be and learn how to deal with this. I don't want this to defeat me. I will not let this take me down. And I think that's an important thing when you're dealing with mental health issues, is you taking the power of not allowing it to control your life. So if this helps one person, I feel fantastic about that. If it helps no one, if it just makes other people in my life understand a little bit better, then that's also success to me. So yeah, that's it. I appreciate you guys listening. I'm trying not to ramble to make these too long. I will continue to talk about it and do more. And I hope that if people have questions or comments or advice or anything that you want to put in the comments, or to direct message me privately, or whatever you want to do, like, let's have the conversation. Let's not be afraid about it. Let's not be afraid to talk about it and help each other to get through it, because we're all here together in this fight together to be the best that we all can be. So I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. And until the next time, see ya.